In a world where Twitter leads the headlines and the 24-hour news cycle forces people to choose sides, we're here to help you cut through the noise and discover that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Hosted by entrepreneur, author, public speaker, and regular media contributor Seth Denson. Subscribe, share, rank, and review. Welcome to Somewhere in the Middle on the Real News Communication Network.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. We took last week off. I did a poor job with the programming note on that, by the way. So if you followed our last show, then that was the show we had Floyd Stanley in from Africa. And I got so deep into that conversation. And when I say, I mean, for those of you who listen to the show, it's worth a listen. If you missed it, go back and download the podcast. Because it was a very powerful show.
It was a good show, yeah.
And I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from the show, just people that wanted more information about that and what was going on and what that was all about. But anyway, I got so just kind of ingrained in that conversation, I forgot the one big thing that I had written down to make sure to say, which was, we're going to take Labor Day off. So last Monday was Labor Day, and we all took the day off.
And it was,
right?
yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say I'd rather be here talking politics with you guys, but, like, this is all I got here. Like, I love talking politics with you guys. It's great.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So, you didn't find anybody to kind of latch onto last Monday and talk a little politics?
I gave Christine an earful, but that's usually how it goes. Yeah, but now I've got you.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, thanks.
Captive audience.
Yeah, Andrew, what about you? Any last Monday, you and Katie didn't, hey, let's sit around the dining table and have the conversation that we're not going to get to have today.
You know what's funny? I actually got into a 3-hour political debate with someone on Monday.
Good Lord.
Not your wife.
No.
Okay, that's usually a smart move, by the way, is to avoid political conversations.
Correct.
At home. Yeah. Did you win?
No.
Was it a conversation or was it a debate?
I was trying to make it a conversation. It felt more like an argument.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, a topic we want to talk about today?
No, but we should come back to it.
Okay.
It does. It actually, you know what it does? We were talking about should you be allowed to legislate essentially ideas. So, I know you wanted to talk about kneeling today. We're going to get into the NFL.
Well, yesterday was Sunday. We all went to church.
Sorry about steal your
Yeah.
thunder here. But the whole topic of our conversation was, should you be allowed to outlaw groups? And we're talking something like Nazis. Could you make it illegal to be a Nazi? And they were saying, absolutely, you should get rid of them. They're bad people. But from a legal perspective, despite obviously, I think everyone in this room probably a little anti-Nazi. I think I can say that and not worry about political fallout.
Yeah, I know. If you disagree with that statement, don't email the show. Just don't even reach out. I do not.
We're
want to
open
hear
to
from
all
you.
opinions, but maybe not. So, but what I'm saying is, you should not make it illegal to have an opinion. Even if I hate your opinion, it can't be illegal. We covered those 9 categories of
Defamation,
libel. Yeah. But
with being dishonest is not okay under the law.
And it was a continuation of that conversation.
Okay.
It's like, oh, you think it's okay to be? No, of course I don't think it's okay to be a hateful, evil, spiteful person. But I don't believe America could ever make it illegal to be a part of a group, because say even right now we have, let's say that somehow we had the perfect government. We had the perfect government that was never.
Joking?
Yeah.
No, but just
what was that?
we're not having one. But again, anyways,
It's fine.
would you ever want the opposite political party to now have the ability to say what groups can and can't exist? Because even if you're in charge right now and it all goes your way, and for a couple of presidents it does, at some point, someone that you don't want the ability to control what groups you're allowed to be in will take charge.
Sure.
And they will abuse the heck out of that power.
Well, listen, I agree, and this wasn't the topic for the day, but let's run
Here
with
we
it for
are.
a little
Yeah.
bit, 'cause I like it. I asked the question, how was everybody's Labor Day? So, we talked about this, I think, Andrew, maybe you and I offline at one point when we were talking about, other countries. Well, we talked about it with Floyd. And those that outlaw certain people of certain faiths, right? Like it's in some countries, it's illegal to be a Christian.
Yes.
If you're a Christian here in the United States, you think that is absolutely appalling. I do too, by the way. But it's interesting because you get the right person who claims to be a Christian and talk about
banning
Muslims.
Perhaps, exactly. Islam. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Wait. What happened?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, because that's a group, right? I mean, your religious belief is a group. It's and listen, we'll even take it to another level. There was talk back when what is the Baptist church, and I'm using this loosely from
Westboro Baptist
Westboro.
There you go.
That's
Thank you.
them,
Westboro Baptist Church, who a lot of people were saying, well, we should make this illegal for them to do what they're doing. I mean, I think it is absolutely despicable what they do, right? But
no, but
you get the good with the bad when it comes to freedom.
And as we mentioned, I think you said in your speech last week was if we want to allow the Supreme Court justices to be able to come out and voice their opinion, unfortunately, you have to let that Westboro church member spout their dribble.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but that's...
Well, listen, that ties into what we're going to be talking about today, though, really well. So thanks for the... It's like you set that up. It's like a little game of volleyball here. Here you go.
Tee you up.
Yeah, appreciate that. Because while we were away, the news kept happening as the world kept turning.
Oh, yes.
And it was a big news week and a half since we've been out, or 2 weeks, or however long, I guess it's 2 weeks now, that we've been gone. We've got a lot going on. I mean, you have the Kavanaugh hearings going on in the Supreme Court. I think anybody disagree he's going to get...
What?
He's going to get the
he'll
nod there.
He'll make it.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah.
Did anybody watch, though, the opening of the hearings?
The circus, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I was
circus.
watching the jockeying for who's going to be the 2020 contender to Trump.
And that's exactly it. They're using, I mean, Harris, Sanders are all using this hearing as an excuse to get some sound bites for 2020.
Is it Cory Booker? You've got a bunch of people in there who I think are trying to throw their hat into that ring, who are saying, hey, every news is going to cover this. This is my opportunity for my 15 seconds. I got to look like I'm standing up against everybody and that this is wrong. And again, politics aside, whether or not they should have delayed the hearing because of the documents that came out and not. But, I mean, the whole idea of the hearing is to gather information, so ask your questions and do your thing. But it was a circus.
Oh, it's always a circus, right? The whole thing.
But they didn't get through their opening sentence. It was 2 sentences into the Kavanaugh hearing? And, and Harris.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to. Yeah. Well, and then not only that, but you had everybody in the audience that was a protester that was there to, do their thing and hold up their sign and just be annoying. And here's the challenging part with that, or at least for me. I'm sitting there, and I was listening to it on the radio, so I'm not watching this on TV because I was headed somewhere, and so I had it going on Sirius XM radio, listening to it. Yeah, it's fun riding in my car. Let me tell you.
No wheels in the bus here.
I know, right? So I'm listening to this, and of course, coming across radio when you don't have the visual, you're going, man, what is going on?
Yeah.
Why don't they just clear the room? And I know then you get into, well, this is the people's chamber and all of that. Well, the people are being annoying, and they can watch it or listen to it just like I was. But let's proceed. And it was every 10 seconds. Do they not vet the people that go into these places?
I guess not.
And why don't they have enough people there to say, get out, man. You are... I don't know. Anyway, So you had that going on last week. You have, obviously, we had John McCain's funeral. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to watch that. Jen and I watched it that Saturday morning before Labor Day. I got emotional watching that. That was hard. And Meghan McCain came out with an impassioned speech about her father and something that as a father of daughters, I can only hope that my kids someday will think and feel about me the way it was absolutely obvious she thought and felt about her father. It was powerful, and I was emotional watching it. It was tough.
Yeah.
I was, Anyway, did you see any of it?
I watched Biden's speech.
Okay.
And Obama and Bush's.
Yeah. So I thought it was powerful. I thought it was good. I mean, obviously there was a lot of it's interesting in these moments where you have these political parties that come together for what?
Did you see Bush sneak Michelle Obama candy.
Oh, that was cute, wasn't it? I mean, it is. Listen, they're part of this club that so few get to be part of, that they understand where they're coming from in life and all of that. And then, for them to, and apparently I read something about, they've kind of created this little friendship, him and Michelle. And I loved more, though, it looked like President Obama, Barack Obama, was watching them like, do I need to separate the two of you? Like, we're at a funeral. But anyway, but for a moment, you're watching this going, boy, wouldn't this be great if just like, the Bushes and the Obamas are sitting next to one another, and you've got Nancy Pelosi holding hands with Paul Ryan, through this, and you're going, how powerful is this? And it's because John McCain, who, by the way, was loved and hated by both sides, because he was he wasn't called the Maverick just because it was a fun name and Tom Cruise's Top Gun was his favorite movie. I don't know what his favorite movie was, but he was called the Maverick because he was that. He was willing to buck anybody if he thought it was right, and the life that he lived in service to our country. And we could do a whole episode on that. But anyway, it was a powerful moment. Unfortunately, the moment ended, and so did this harmonious arm in arm and hand in hand. Following that, obviously, you had this last week President Obama coming out and kind of bucking
finally
precedent,
saying President Trump's name.
Yeah, and calling out the current administration, something that most past presidents have not done, is calling out the current administration. And what I thought about that, and again, whether you thought it was appropriate or not, one of the things that President Obama always was big on was how much he appreciated the fact that W stayed out of it.
Mm-hmm.
If W was asked a question, he kind of just said, you know what?
Not my ship anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
But Obama, I think, he's got that big chip on the shoulder, and he's like, you know what? I'm not staying silent on this.
But he has stayed silent for a year and a half. He has not used Trump's name.
Yeah.
He's always said, there's changes in this administration. He used a lot of neutral language. So this is significant. This is the first time that he's called him out.
Yeah, it was surprising, especially in 2016, immediately following the election. Everybody thought, at least a lot of Democrats thought, what's he going to do? What's he going to say? What's the next big political
and he stepped back.
Yeah, show that we're going to get to see. And he said nothing. Like, I'm not, there's a precedent here. I'm not going to do that, which was why this is surprising, at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I think is probably what ultimately, it's the next day in his speech he did say, he didn't call out President Trump by name, but he implied. I mean, we all knew who he was talking about if you listened to the speech the next day, the campaign speech he gave. So, he probably caught a little bit of heat, and he probably thought about it and said, yeah. Although he probably also said, forget it. I don't care. I'm doing it anyway.
I'll be honest. I feel like nowadays, whenever you're talking even remotely about politics, there's like an 80% chance you're going to imply something about the president either way.
That's
like
right.
That just seems where we're at now. But you're right. It was intriguing to see the what felt like a little bit of a pullback. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and then also you had this past week the anonymous letter.
The op-ed.
Right? This
Ooh.
senior official in the White House. The resistance. Right? What do we think on that?
I'm torn. I'm so torn.
I mean, if you really are the quote-unquote resistance trying to... I think one part of the letter, too, is talking about, we're being victorious here. Then why just stay quiet?
No, I've heard folks on both sides of the aisle be like, this was the wrong thing to do. If there's any truth in the position you're coming from, writing an anonymous letter to the public and putting it in the New York Times is not the correct thing to do. Like, that is wrong.
And then one of the real questions is just, now there's being floated like, is it a fake? Is it a fake?
Sure.
Then are we truly saying the New York Times has lost truly 100% credibility? Because if it's found out that they falsified a letter of such magnitude, someone saying, I work inside the Oval Office, and they're found out to be liars, I don't know. But
it didn't say Oval Office.
No, it's a senior White House official.
Which, by the way, like the deputy chairman of the Department of Agriculture is technically a senior White House official.
Right, that can go up or down.
But it was explained though that they don't just give anonymity. Excuse me.
Anonymity?
Is
that a thing?
Rubber baby buggy bumpers. They don't just give anonymity to anyone. This theoretically would have to be vetted according to, there's no laws or guidelines here, but traditionally this would need to be like a kind of a deep throat level informant. This would need to be an actual...
You mean in the same tradition as a current or past president not calling out a current?
Oh, wow. Now that would be something.
I'm just saying, no implications. I'm just saying, I think we're past traditions, right?
Then
the New York Times is not a fan of Donald Trump. And if they would provide anonymity to anybody that could possibly bring heat onto this guy.
I don't know about anybody, though.
Anybody that they might be able to tweak the narrative to say it's a senior White House official.
I would hope then, let me say that my doe eyes are showing, I would hope for journalistic integrity that they truly do have a high-level source.
I think we would all hope for journalistic integrity across the board.
Yes, but...
And this isn't combative of...
No.
There's plenty of
there
combating
is...
of the media these days. I am not one of those. I believe in the free press. We need the free press, and I hope... and I hate how this administration is constantly just going there.
Enemy of the people. So
yeah,
so that's what I'm saying is I actually do hope that they're not full of it. I hope that this is a true source. But then back to the actual point of it, what is this guy doing?
Or gal.
What is this person doing? I am consistently working here to undermine the administration. Well, that's kind of not okay.
Why are you there?
And that's definitely letting credence. I can't talk today. Leading credence to these rumors of a deep state that part of the administration is fighting against. And I don't really believe in that. But then something like this letter comes out. It's like, oh, well, if this is legit, that is a really strong data point.
Yeah.
That there is this hashtag resistance within the White House.
Right. This is it's a matter of precedence, right? That's what we're doing. Because I look at this letter and for part of the country that finds this White House particularly divisive, they might think, good, great. And I'm like, okay, wait. Just like you said earlier, what if we flip the script, right? What if we had a president that everybody adores? What if you had a Washington or a Reagan in office? And then a letter comes out and goes, oh, by the way, we're not doing anything you want them to do. That's not a good thing.
No.
Right.
This is inherently a bad thing, whether or not it's on your side or not. Like, this is bad for everybody. You don't want somebody working in the White House that doesn't listen to the people in the White House.
It's when you get into the military, there's something called the sailor's oath. It's, I'm a United States sailor. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and I will obey the orders of those appointed over me. That's the second line in.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that you can say, no, I'm not following your order is when it's wrong. It's morally wrong. You're talking, hey, kill those kids. Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not doing that. Not, I don't agree with your policy. And should you be able to disobey the administration? Sure. But it would have to be like I don't want to say moral, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and the other thing I think that this does, and this hasn't been talked about, but this was my takeaway, one of my takeaways when I read this and saw it and kind of listened to some of the pundits talking about it. I think this gives Trump a little bit of an out.
Mm-hmm.
It does, because he can say, you know what?
I couldn't get that done because...
Or, there's a reason that the things that I want to get done, or there are people that are out to get me. There are people that are out to make me look bad. They are plants, right? They are working for the other side. They are saboteurs, right? I mean, we can have that's his thing that he can say is, hey, listen, this is the challenge.
So could this have been done on his orders or the administration's orders? Could a high level... Bear with me. Let's go conspiracy theory here. Let me put on my tinfoil hat.
Oh gosh!
I'm totally wondering where you're going.
So what if Pence?
It's a foil.
What if Pence wrote the letter? What if Pence goes to the New York Times and says, "Gentlemen, I am fighting the president. I want you to publish this letter. I am the resistance."
Like I would hear
because
Pence say.
Because I know, but you're certain that a media company would absolutely say yes to this. They of course we'll publish this with anonymity. You're the vice president. Or Jeff Sessions or whomever.
Mm.
But now, what if that was done to provide him that out?
Right.
That actually could be just a political masterstroke.
A lot of people said Donald Trump was ruling the media in 2016 when he was climbing his way to the top here. It's part of the reason a lot of people say he won. What if this?
He is a
part of
ringmaster.
Yeah.
Well, there's a theory for you. I mean, listen, here's the thing. I mean,
There you go.
everything's about choose your words carefully. I've never, doesn't mean they haven't. I've never heard a conservative use the word resistance in anything. Like that, when you hear resistance, you immediately go to Antifa. You immediately go to these protesting parties that are holding signs that we're the resistance, right? You just don't hear conservatives use language like that. So in reading it, I immediately questioned it, only because of the way it was written, the words that were stated. I mean, and again, it's in conflict with itself. We're fighting against this, but we're part of this.
I mean, it even says in there, it's like, we're not traditionally the resistance as you know them. It's like, well, then what is this?
And it's that we're doing good for the people. We're actually doing good things here in this administration.
And again, it's that whole interpretation of, well, who's good according to whom?
Yeah. Certainly not the people who elected this person who's doing whatever they don't want. I don't know. Like you said, it works against itself.
So the other big story, man, this is fun. We're kind of catching up on a lot of stuff that was out there this past week. So that's what this show is really going to be about, is this. We're kind of catching up on being out for a couple of weeks and getting some fun little, we'll call them quick hits.
Sure.
These fun little quick hits on what's going on. The other big story, obviously dominating the news, is Nike's got new spokesman. New spokesman who, needs a job, apparently. So it was good timing for him. And we are, so that in conjunction with the beginning of NFL opening week this week. Obviously, if you're living under a rock, we're talking about Colin Kaepernick is now the new spokesperson, or one of the new spokespeople for Nike. And if you want to
stand up for something,
you may sacrifice everything, right?
Sacrificing everything. Yep.
Okay. So it thrust us back into the kneeling debate. Obviously, yesterday was opening Sunday. Anybody watch Cowboy game?
No, but I heard about it from a few people on my way into work this morning.
Well, the Cowboys were there, but they didn't show up. So it was, it was not a fun day. And, it was a double whammy for me, which, by the way, timeout. I know I keep looking at my phone if you're watching on the YouTube live stream. NASCAR got rained out yesterday, and if you're a regular listener to the show, you know how big of a NASCAR fan I am. So I continuously am looking to get updates on they're redoing the races today.
Oh.
And so
what are we rooting for?
I'm rooting for my entire fantasy team, which is everybody. So
I did not actually know there was fantasy.
This is the last week before playoffs start. So there's fantasy. There's fantasy everything, man. There's probably a fantasy somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
Right? Who are you going to pick this week? Zach, Andrew, or Seth? Crickets.
I'm going on Zach every
time.
I
took the vote.
I go for the Andrew.
Right, anyway,
yeah, it's fine.
So let's this is what happens when we take a couple weeks off, right? We kind of
dust that off here.
All right, so Nike, Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
No, don't throw it at me, Andrew. This one's on you. No, don't do that. You came prepared.
The last one.
You have notes. Go for it.
What's the harm
for Nike?
No, I was just thinking about the kneeling in general. Nike, has anybody tracked their stock? How is their stock doing today?
I know it dipped initially.
It dipped initially. I haven't checked it since
I'm gonna be rude and check my cell
go ahead.
phone.
I've got a point on this for a second.
Yeah.
I think that this is, honestly, it sucks it rebound.
Yeah, it's up about 2.8%.
But it fell.
It did.
So it's just kind of amazing. By the way, the stock market oftentimes on emotion, right? So emotionally,
can I camera in on here? Let's see. I don't know if you can do that. So it's
okay.
That's a 5-day. So it's
it's
doing fine.
It's doing something.
I can't see the cameras, man. So what did it do? It's up right at 2%.
But I'm saying it's trended up and jumped.
It's rebounded. Yeah. So interesting. I mean, listen, that's the stock market. There's always, when you have something political like this happen, and immediately a stock drops. everybody jumps out and says, man, everybody's against this. Look at the stock. No. People who play the market are looking at this and thinking about the people that are against this and saying, I got to sell out now because if there's a big boycott, this could impact the stock. And then a couple days later, when the dust is settled a little bit, they go, all right, stocks are on sale. Let's go buy it right back. We got it on. We sold. It dropped. We buying again. Like this is the way the stock market works. Your average Joe is likely not playing the stock market based on his own emotion. If he is, well, there's a reason that
he's your average Joe.
He's average Joe, right? But I thought about this a lot because it did reinvigorate the debate, and we had been asked when we first started doing this show if we would ever take up the kneeling and topics that were controversial. And since we are 3 white guys, I thought, well, it's perfect for us to try to take this up, right? I mean, we have some credibility on this, and none of us played in the NFL, and right? I mean, you start to wonder, well, why should we take this up? Well, but this is somewhere in the middle, and somebody, by the way, if you ever have a topic you want us to take on, send us a message. Shoot us a message. Go to our site. Go to Facebook. Email us. Email the show.
Slip us a link.
We're always happy to consider taking up your topic. Notice what I said there. Always happy to consider taking it up. But this one did come out because I was actually having some conversation with one of my best friends this past week about it. So we're taking it up because he even commented, Jeff, if you're listening, I know, because he said, man, you ought to take this one up. So here's the thing with this.
All right.
I think that this whole kneeling thing became much bigger than it was because I'm going to make some people mad about this.
Uh-oh.
Because of Donald Trump. Tweet. He made this into a thing.
Yep.
And I'm not defending it. Matter of fact, I think that kneeling during the national anthem as a personal belief, I think it's despicable. I when I go to any sporting event, I'm giving the evil eye to whoever I see with their hat on, talking, doing their thing during the national anthem. This is a moment of respect for our country, and if you don't respect the place that our country is in right now, then at least respect those that afforded us the right to still be alive, to be here, to be a free society. That's what that moment is about. It's not about whoever's in political office. It has nothing to do with whoever's in political office. It has everything to do with who we are as a country, those that sacrificed to be here, to allow us that. That's what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
So when I hear about this, when I hear about, Colin Kaepernick getting this deal, I'm sitting there in my mind going, oh, I thought we were past this. not because,
Sorry.
God help him. He needs a job, and Nike's willing to give it to him. But what is Nike trying to say? Are they making a business statement, political statement? If you're a shareholder, are you going to be ticked off? But moreover is from a perspective of, let's go back to the original, right? This was Colin Kaepernick took a knee. Now, I read somewhere, and Andrew, you may have some information on this too, that there's a reason that Colin Kaepernick took a knee versus just sitting down.
So Colin Kaepernick sat down that first time, and everyone went, whoa, what are you doing? And he then talked to a former Green Beret. So if anybody can talk about the military, I'm going to bet it's a Green Beret.
Sure. Yeah.
And he said, hey, I respect what you're doing. I don't like it. And Nate Boyer was like, kind of, I don't agree with you, but why don't you take a kneel instead? Take a knee. We take a knee when we do lots of activities.
We pray, right? That's respectful. Yeah. People pray when they do that.
Or even if someone's on the field is injured, everyone stops talking and you take a knee.
That's right.
It's what you do. So this came from a military member. Hey, try doing this instead. Let's find some middle ground.
So here's Colin Kaepernick, who wants to make a statement. And I think here's the problem with this, though. He kind of forfeited some ground of being respectable when he wore socks depicting police officers as pigs.
It said oink oink on it, I think.
Well, it was actually images of pigs in police hats. Yeah. And unless it's a cartoon episode of Three Little Pigs, and one of them is dressing up as a cop. I don't think that I think we all understood what he was trying to say there. The problem was that when the president enters into this, when he decides that he's going to be about this versus about anything else, because as you alluded to earlier, Zach, this got media attention.
Yes,
and boy, it rallied his base.
Yeah.
And again, I'm prefacing this by saying I think it's despicable to do anything but stand during the national anthem, right? But Colin Kaepernick looked at this as this is his opportunity. He at least somewhat wanted to be somewhat respectful based on the feedback he got from this Green Beret that he spoke to but he wanted to draw attention to it. And then everybody else started doing it not to bring attention to what Colin Kaepernick wanted to bring attention to. They started doing it because the president got involved. It was more of a statement against President Trump than it was for, a real conversation about police brutality against black males.
Yeah, and then this turned into, just a message being co-opted is the hazard of when you've got the mic. It's a hot mic. Someone might say something you don't like. And
Right. So, and here's the other thing of this. So, Colin Kaepernick is right now suing the NFL because he is saying that NFL owners have colluded. There's that word again. We need to get like a sound effect anytime we use the word collusion. It's like, like the Jaws introduction.
Yeah, sure.
Like we've entered into collusion.
I just hear the word Russia. No.
I know, right?
A gong or something.
And so he's suing because they're saying they colluded him to keep out of the league. Here is a hot sports opinion on this. Here's Seth Denson's HSO.
Go on.
How many people took knees last year after Colin Kaepernick did his thing?
There's quite a few, wasn't it? Dozens?
I
would imagine dozens.
Right?
Yeah.
How many of them got kicked out of the NFL or colluded against?
Fairly certain that's a big zero.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, at least none that anybody's writing about. Colin Kaepernick's not in the league because Colin Kaepernick was a subpar quarterback, right? He wasn't a good quarterback. He had his moment, his 1 year where the Niners went to the Super Bowl and he looked good. They lost that Super Bowl, I think, by the way. But he at least got there, and so he had his 1 year, but then that year was done, and away we went. So I don't think this is about Colin Kaepernick being kept out of the league. Listen, I'm a business owner. Okay? So if I'm a business owner and you are my employee and you do things that drive me crazy or hurt my brand, I have a decision to make.
Because that's a difference between one is being personally irritating and the other is costing you money.
That's right. I have a decision to make. Is what you afford me, the value you bring to my organization, is that worth what I'm having to deal with to put up with you? And if Colin Kaepernick had the talent of a, Zeke Elliott or a Dak Prescott, I'm obviously using Dallas Cowboy references because I'm a Cowboys fan, or a Tom Brady, I'm sorry. I think if Tom Brady was out there taking a knee against anything, again, I know immediately I'm going to get the message, well, Tom Brady's a white quarterback. Of course not. All right, Warren Moon. Warren Moon, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of my young life. I loved watching Warren Moon when he played for the Houston Oilers, now the Tennessee Titans. If he had taken a knee, I'm pretty sure he'd have been on the field the next Sunday. As were all of the other folks that took the knee and they knelt.
So you're arguing not collusion so much as just not a good football player.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not making a legal argument. Maybe they did collude. Maybe they said he's a subpar quarterback and he's annoying us, so let's all get together. Man, don't take this guy. Just don't do it. Is that legal collusion? I don't know. I don't think there was this foregone effort, but I'm not a jury on the case. I'm sure that it'll end up in somebody's or get settled out or whatever. But what I'm saying is we made a lot out of this on both sides, all for the wrong reasons. Do we need to have a real conversation in this country about police brutality against black males? Absolutely. Absolutely, we need to have that conversation, just like we need to have the same conversation about brutality against police departments.
I remember the Dallas Snipers just a few years ago here.
I lived through it.
Yep.
I remember watching. I've got friends on the Dallas Police Department praying, hoping that was not one of my friends that was involved in that watching and waiting for the names to come out. And, all this is real. And again, I afford Colin Kaepernick his right to make a stance on something that he sees that needs change. And if you're given a microphone, just like Seth Denson has given this microphone to make his statements, that's my right. Then it's Colin Kaepernick's right to do the same thing. As much as I may disagree with the way in which he made his stance, it's his right to do it. That's why we are in America. That's why America is what it is as a country. And, it is what it is. What do you say, you guys? Any
Well, we've only got about 5 minutes left. I'll be honest, we're running long, but I do want to shift this a little bit because I've heard this argument, and to a point, I mean the numbers don't lie. I'm not a big sports fan. I know very little about Colin Kaepernick. I don't know anything about his stats. I can't tell you how far he's thrown. I don't know. The fact that he went to 1 Super Bowl is a surprise to me. And I've heard people say, we're big football fans, that the numbers don't lie. That's it. He just wasn't that good. That's why he's not in. So let's run on that. If he's out because he wasn't that good, why'd Nike pick him up? Why is he the face of this campaign? Because that's the follow-up question, right? If he's not a good athlete, what did he give up?
I'm not saying he's not a good athlete.
Right. He's in the NFL. He went to the Super Bowl.
That's
sure.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But,
I'm saying that he was a subpar quarterback. There's only 32 teams I think in the NFL. Maybe not even that many now.
Right.
So that means that there's 32 of the best in the world, and he was one of them at a time.
Right.
But his time was over. It was short. For some people, it's short-lived. For some people, it's long-lived. Right.
Right. And Nike, this big corporation, who honestly probably isn't at a point in their career where they need to take risks. They're Nike. They have Apple stores in the malls. Right. All right. We know who they are. They're giving this guy a starting QB salary to be a sponsor for them. So.
Is this more about a statement on Nike's part?
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I think that's the follow-up question for somebody like me who doesn't keep up with it.
I don't think they're coming out with the Air Kaepernicks. I mean, I'm just saying.
The Air Kaepernicks.
I don't think they're coming out with that. I think Nike decided to make a statement. I think Nike, from a business perspective, one of two things, right? They either had a marketing person in there that got in somebody's ear that said, this is going to get us some good graces with those that we want to try to get good graces with. Or maybe they're taking a page out of Donald Trump's book.
Right.
And saying, if we're part of any conversation.
Any press is good press?
Maybe. But listen, I don't know. I own a business. I would not agree with the statement that any press is good press from a business perspective. Right? But that said, maybe Nike said, hey, enough's enough. We want to make a statement on this. Or nobody from Nike's really came out.
To
my knowledge.
Yeah,
they made a statement. But again, so yesterday, how many people kneeled?
I think, is it just 2?
2, right? That was what I understood. There were 2 people that kneeled. Kenny Stills and Albert Wilson, both of the Miami Dolphins. And so again, furthering my point, although I know the NFL's come out on this and said, hey, we're not going to allow it, but it did refuel the debate. Sometimes I just want to watch some football. I love politics. Obviously, I've got a show about politics. But on Sundays, I want to watch football and NASCAR. And I just don't want to hear about divisive garbage for a few hours. I just want to get mad at the Dallas Cowboys for a few hours. Right? So it's back in the debate, but listen, it is what it is. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be on the debate, and this is one of those things where depending on which side you land, you're right and everybody else is wrong. If you believe in what Colin Kaepernick is doing and that it's his right to do it, great. But man, don't allow somebody else their right to think differently. Right?
Right.
All right. Hey, guys, thanks. Fun catching up with you and hearing about what's going on in the news. Fun kind of catching up on what was going on. I'm sure there were 20 things we didn't talk about that happened in the 2 weeks that we were out. But it's fun to be back with you, our listeners. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all the folks here at Real News Communication. and all the work that they do here. Zach, always appreciate you, buddy, making this a thing and making it go well. Andrew, always fun having these conversations. Thanks for being in here.
Thank you.
As always, a wonderful thank you to my beautiful wife, Jenna, my daughters, Emerson and Arabella. Thank you for letting Daddy come do this and just being my reason for life. And while I may be considering a number of things, I do know where I land on this whole kneeling debate. Personally, I despise the idea of anyone taking a knee, leaving their hat on, talking or being downright disrespectful during our national anthem. Many have fought, bled, and paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country, of which the anthem and our flag represent. They do not represent the current political party in power, the current administration in the White House. They represent our country. That said, both our flag and anthem also represent what is great and just about our nation, and that is our freedom. And it is that freedom that offers us protection when one's rights are in conflict with another's beliefs. It's my belief that being disrespectful is wrong, but it's everyone's right to do it anyway. This is the United States of America, not Russia, not Afghanistan, and not 1943 Germany. The challenge, however, our free society faces when it comes to rights is that we often afford them to one person or party without affording them to another, the opposing person or party. And this is on both sides of the argument. In the NFL, for example, it's absolutely the right of an NFL player to kneel, despite how much another might despise them doing so. However, it's equally the right of the business owner, the franchisee, the person whose brand that player is representing to say, not on my watch, not on your paid time here, you do it on your own time. Just like every business owner who can set standards of conduct while an employee is on the company dime and time. So, too, the NFL owners have a right to do the same. So while I may be uncomfortable or upset when someone takes a knee, I must recognize that the sacrifices made by those afforded me and my rights were also made to ensure another's theirs. But just a reminder, that pendulum swings both ways. By the way, on a personal note, just in case anybody's wondering, I equally despise it when people don't hold doors for women, step in front of someone as they cross the street, or jump in a cab that was hailed for someone else. But that's my opinion and feeling on the matter. In America, it is your right to be a jerk. Finding myself somewhere in the middle. I'm Seth Denson.